This is Constant Elevation, the show for rising Air Force and community leaders who seek to define the future. Learn powerful work and life tactics to tackle any challenge. I'm your host, Gabriel Gabrock Avila. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Gabrock back on the mic once again. Guess what? It's two for one, because I'm dropping 2 episodes this week. With the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, wanted to say for everybody in the Constant Elevation audience, hope you guys are staying safe out there. I do trust that all of us you're going to make adult decisions. If that's going to be, maintaining the distance of, because you have that control of doing that, because you can, wherever your family happens to be, and you want to maintain just your small household, good on you. Cool. If you want to travel somewhere, I assume you're going to be a smart adult and make sure you make smart decisions. Protect your family, protect your friends, and making sure you can enjoy the holidays as much as we can. I saw a meme. It was from, I think, Inglourious Bastards, and it had Chris Christopherson, in the very opening scene of that. And, he's interrogating the guy who's possibly hiding some Jews in his floorboard. And as the meme, it said, "I know you have more than 10 people over Thanksgiving." I was rolling. That was hilarious. So that being said, this week, and again, for the two for one kind of thing, point of opportunity, because we had a previous guest on the show, Senior Master Sergeant Eddie Grant, who reached out to me and says, "Hey, sir, I happen to be in your same time zone. Want to do another episode? Bet money? Yeah, I do." Boom, boom, boom. Here we go. Senior Grant, welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always good linking up, chatting with you, and I'm just glad to be here.
Yeah. So we are in the same time zone because you are actually in the middle of PCS season, right?
That's correct. I'm in travel right now, and as a part of that, I'm quarantined here in St. Louis.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
those things. So the
And
beard,
you got that PCS leaf beard. Yeah. I can't. Dude, it would take me my entire career to grow that, but that's beside the point. The idea of the Air Force and the military and DoD in general, we still can't stop, won't stop. We still got to maintain our readiness. We got to make sure that our personnel's careers and development is moving on. And so your previous stop was Misawa in Japan. I know you love that assignment, and you're looking forward to the new challenges you're going to have there at Scott Air Force Base and what Scott brings for you. And so it's going to be good stuff. But what I wanted to talk about this week with you is the idea of, as much as 2020 has thrown us curveballs, there's certain ways you can look at it, right? You can look at it as problems and challenges, or you're looking as opportunities. And I believe you see this as an opportunity.
Oh yeah, I don't think you could have said it better. I mean, in simple terms, 2020 has sucked. It has. I mean, if you look back this past year, almost World War III, we had coronavirus, we had murder hornets, we had alien sightings. I mean, you name it. Yeah. 2020 really threw everything at us but the kitchen sink. And with all of that, something that many of us can relate to is the restrictions because of the coronavirus, that being quarantine, ROM, isolation, whatever level of that you've experienced. So me, I'm right here right now in quarantine. And prior to going in, I won't lie, as weird as this sounds, I was excited. I was excited to go into quarantine. I was, and everybody was dreading it. And I look at it a completely different way. I remember packing, getting ready to, the traveling part always is stressful, right? So I'm just like, man, I cannot wait to just drop my bags in quarantine. And when I did, I slept. The first day, I slept so good. And the first day, I won't forget, I woke up, messed up time zone, 4 a.m, made some of this cheap hotel coffee, and watched the sunrise. And I'm like, this is quarantine.
Yeah, dude. That's awesome.
I'm on day 13 of quarantine, and it's fucking awesome. I'm sorry. The Air Force has not given me 14 days to say, hey, for your safety, we're gonna keep you here. But with that, we're gonna feed you. You don't have to work. You're not getting blown up with phone calls. I cannot complain about this.
Yeah, I agree. I think especially at the place we're at in our careers, it is rare to be like, no, for real, let's take a knee. It's okay. Because normally in the PCS, you're going to be, especially for in you and I and kind of moving up in the food chain, it's like, hey, we got to do turnover real quick. We're like, all right, cool. I also got to move in. somewhere and then go find some spots and like and have to worry about all those things concurrently. And then, you know, the team wants to meet you, all those kind of things. And so like it's good stuff. All those things you and I were used to from our in our Air Force careers. This one is different. I mean, we for on my side, you know, and I think for yours as well, all of us have to get adjusted because all of us have different like the telework kind of situation that's going to happen, right? And it's going to be based on, you know, how many people are there. Like for me, it's a very civilian heavy kind of environment, and so that plays a different kind of role into the whole thing. But really, it becomes a thing of, all right, once you get normalized, and it's going to be, where do I need to be at? Do I need to be at work? That's a very interesting question that like is going to come up once everything is done. I'll say once the vaccines are out and then the school situations are in, they're going to be like, all right, we need everybody to come back. Be like, do we though? Like full-time? Are you sure? I bet you I can do some stuff telework. And so like the conversations I think are valid. And I think part of it is you and I have found that balance point. We're like, no, actually I'm becoming more productive both personally and professionally, right? And the professional stuff is always going to happen. But I think for you and I, the personal side, we found those opportunities to kind of work on some either existing passions or potentially trudging down some new paths and figuring out some new things we want to get about.
Absolutely. You know, and that's not to take away from the challenges of quarantine by any means. People want to see their families, their children. They don't have that social interaction. So it's tough, but we all know that. And we all know that that's the reality. So you can focus on that, or you can look at it from a different lens and say, this is a time to reflect. This is a time to learn new skills, you know, rekindle old ones. This is a time to just relax in the process of following safety precautions, right? Because that's what it's all about, right? We're not trying to go out on a whim. We could have something, we're asymptomatic, and we give it to somebody who may not be as lucky. So, you know, it's a balance, but it's just like anything else in life. You know, I saw a meme that I thought was really cool. And it was two brothers, and one brother said, I will never drink alcohol. My father was an alcoholic. And the other ones said, I drink every day because my father is an alcoholic. Everything is perspective, right? So, yeah. So for me, this has been a time that I think I've really needed. And you said it best, and especially when you have some time in, when you're used to just constantly moving, you got to give, and you've got a certain way to be and a certain, how do I say it?
Like
There's
responsibilities and the battle rhythm of stuff.
exactly the responsibility, the pressure, the calls, the texts, the constant moving of the next thing. You know, sometimes it's good to just be. One of my favorite books is The Art of Peace, and they talk about that a lot. You know, that old saying, the greatest places are where you were and where you're going. You know, in The Art of Peace, they talk a lot about just being, this very moment, right now, me talking to you. This is wonderful, right? And it's a beautiful thing when you can really soak in, be just where you're at right now, you know?
There's a similar, I got to make sure I'm looking it up to make sure. There we go. So similar book that I read is called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And it kind of gets to the point of like, how do you train your mindset to realize what you have right in front of you? And you don't get caught up. You can get caught up in your emotions, caught up in your mind very, very fast. As far as like the coronavirus and all the crazy stuff that's going on, like, you know, it's how I'm going to pay my bills. How's my kids going to get to school? How am I going to cover down on work? How am I going to feed my family? There's a lot of things that can completely overwhelm all of us, right? And so part of that is understanding how to manage your mind to the point where like those things are not going to go away, and they shouldn't go away. Like when you get into work, when I get into work, it's game time. Our airmen need us and we have to perform, and we're going to do that. I'm not worried about that. But for now, we're not in that spot. Like when I'm in the morning and I'm meditating and I'm not at work yet, so I'm not going to think about work. I just want to feel my thoughts are now and how I can organize the rest of my day to make sure that I have enough space and not burning myself out. And part of that deliberate kind of thought process is making sure I have time for me. When I say time for me, it's also time for my family. And then, my family, my other obligations, being a coach at Revival Fitness, all that stuff, because I want to be there for my community. And so, because I know we can help out each other and get over things, overcome these challenges together as a community.
Agreed.
But when it comes down to, focusing on me, I think about like, okay, how can I become, what am I going to do about my book this week or this month? What do I want to do in my podcast? How can I help people grow and become better leaders? How can I leverage this platform to talk with people like you and other people who want to, pay it forward and inspire people to find the power within them and be good examples of that. And I think you've done in this last. So I saw the Rona video and I saw the Rona everything. That's why I'm saying when I'm looking in the background of the shot, I'm like, oh, I know that background. It is just one of those kind of things of, hey, so in a short period of time, you just saw this opportunity to be like, hey, I have this passion to create something and I want to express my thoughts. There's other people out there who feel the same way. You want to let them know that they're not alone. We can get through this together. So just kind of talk me through like, what was a process for you to take advantage of this opportunity presented to you?
So first, I didn't even mention it in the beginning. I do got to say congratulations on your book release. That's huge.
Oh, thanks.
Very, very inspiring. And believe it or not,
this book. Oh,
yeah.
There
it goes.
There
but no, and I'll be honest with you. Before getting into making the video, I watched the buildup and I followed you on social media in the development stages as you were getting ready to finalize the book and once you got the copies. And it was really inspiring to see. And I think that people, especially, the seasoned community, they need to see that, So for me, I made the song for the Rona video. I made this song a couple months ago, actually. And it was when things were really bad, like March, April timeframe. We had a lot of time on our hands. I wrote the song. And I was honestly just going to hold on to the song and like show a couple friends.
I know you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said, dude, you need to record that. Because I didn't even have it recorded. I just wrote the song. And he's like, you need to record that. So every studio in the area was closed because of quarantine. So I ended up finding a studio because you can record in a home setup all day, but there's certain EQ mastering processes where you have to have some professional equipment. So ended up getting the song recorded. And when I heard the song, I said, man, this is pretty special. How am I going to put this out? Well, if you're an aspiring musician, if you don't know, a video is paramount, is absolutely paramount to putting out your. Can you still see me? For something just happened weird on my computer.
The hotel Wi-Fi is probably laggy. I got you though.
Oh, it's somebody called me. Okay, anyway, so I thought to myself, well, I really don't feel like making a video. I don't know how I'm going to make a video about coronavirus, to be honest with you. I didn't really have any ideas, but then it hit me as I was getting ready to quarantine. One thing I love about like the old Master P records, old Juvenile records. They were talking about hood stuff, and they were in the hood. They were actually in their hoods when they were talking about this stuff. And what I'm getting at is the song's about quarantine, and I'm in quarantine. So, there's my Rona street cred right there. Like,
so stupid.
And I had the COVID test yesterday. I was the only one. I'm not even kidding. I was the only one that was like, you know what? I'm gonna get some street cred because I've been quarantined and I've had the Rona test. And it sucks, by the way. It sucks.
Dude,
so
that's hilarious.
It's no fun. It's no fun at all. So anyway, I was like, I'm gonna try to do this video while I'm in quarantine. So I have this right here. Anybody that's ever thought about getting into photography, this is probably the Bugatti of cameras. This is the Sony A7 III. This is what I use to shoot the Rona video, and this is the Sony FE 85mm lens. It's a portrait lens, so it's not even really meant for video, but it is a phenomenal lens. the combination of these two, like you're instantly a pro photographer. Like it's
Nice.
really not,
Nice.
there's no skills behind it. And then how I positioned everything was I used this rinky dink $20 tripod
Whatever,
to
bro.
put, this is
Yep.
really for our phone, right?
Yeah.
And I would stack furniture like that microwave and that nightstand to make certain angles.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
edited everything on this phone.
Awesome.
So that's how the that's how the video came about. And then once I got done with everything, I said, this looks like actual video. Like so I'm like,
Look what I did.
yeah. So I was like, hey mom, So it's one of those things. And that's kind of how it came about. I thought it was a cool concept that kind of weird that I don't think anybody's ever tried to do something to that magnitude while in quarantine. And the hard part was, how do you continuously switch it up to make it not monotonous? Because you're in a
Sure.
room. So I started brainstorming, like, what is everything that people generally do when they're in quarantine? Well, they did the 22 push-up challenge, so that's in there.
Yeah. Yep.
They played video games. They meditated,
Yep. Yep.
reflected, did home workout. So I tried to incorporate all of that into the video, and that's really how it came about. And then I threw it on my page. I kept it public for my friends to see and other people to see. Like when we did the videos before, it was a
Mhm.
fun thing to see. But then it started like
Getting
spreading
traction.
it
Yeah.
started spreading at an alarming rate. No pun intended.
I saw that.
So a buddy of mine reached out to me and he said, "Hey, you need to remove that from your personal page." He's like, "Take my advice, because if you try to put that on a professional platform, he's like, you're gonna
Copyright
bleed the
yourself.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna bleed the two numbers, because you got one video on your personal page that's spiking numbers, and you got one that you're trying to legitimize on an
Okay.
actual
Okay.
page. So you need to take that down now, nip it in the bud now, take that hit and repost it on an actual page." And this is a good buddy of mine, producer, who's really been around for some years. So, and that's
Nice.
where we're at now. This is not the ideal time to be trying to make a rap video, but it was ideal for me, because I don't know if I'll ever have this kind of time on my hands.
That's good.
So
That's good. I think
that's
you
that's
I
kind of
think I think your boy Manny Fresh gave you some good advice as far as deplatforming and making sure you set the whole thing. I was already stuck on when you started. You said Master P. I was like, wait, are we gonna? You need to get into your Photoshop skills so you can put yourself with like a polar bear and the
Oh
big
yeah,
ass
and
like
the,
Eddie
and
Grant.
the money back.
Yeah, Sage in the back be like, "What is happening?" He's like, "Where did he get those Lamborghinis and a bear?" I don't know, but Photoshop is amazing.
Very
So,
good concept.
or you need to remix it and be like Eddie Grant taking over for the 99 to 2000, and then go into the cut. Make sure
You
you
do
send
that
me, yes,
too.
send me that version. So the idea of just kind of pretty much everything you talked about was like, it's not overthinking something. You went through let me go back a little bit. So it's interesting that you talk about like the whole idea of like hip hop music, and as far as how it becomes relatable, right? And so depending on where you live, and so like I live for the majority of my life on the West Coast, and so I like all kinds of hip hop, but West Coast hip hop has a definite vibe for me because that's how I grew up, and the things they talk about is what, some of it anyway, I grew up around, and so like, yeah, so I relate to it. So therefore, that music is stronger to me. Like coronavirus arguably is the last thing. There hasn't been, I don't know, I'm sure there was something and I'm just not thinking of it, but like, when's the last thing something was actually like worldwide, I'm talking like worldwide impacting? You could say like 9/11 impacted, like 9/11 impacted us, right?
Yeah.
As Americans. And so you saw the change of that kind of stuff, but like coronavirus affects everybody. So therefore, like the music that you're putting out and going through the I'm gonna do home workouts. I'm going to set up my kids for school. I'm gonna do 22 push-up challenge. Like all those things, all of us somehow got. I'm definitely got impacted by one of those challenges or not. And so that idea how relatable your material is going to be automatically gives you an in that other people may or may not have, because you're talking about stuff that people relate to. But it comes from a genuine place of where your passion was before. You've been like you mentioned earlier, like you record a bunch of stuff, you just kind of you archive it. It's not some of you do. I do the same thing. When I write stuff, there's certain things I write that's just for me, right? And it's good. It's good for my soul. It's good for just making sure I become a better leader, and I think about some of the stuff I want to do. And then other stuff is like, okay, I want to maybe release this to the world and see what happens. And then stuff starts to happen. You're like, ooh, okay, hold up. Let me manage myself and figure out what we need to do. Talk to your boy Manny Fresh, talk to be like to whoever it is, be like who've kind of walked down those paths of what should I do with this now? It's like, oh, well, let's do it like this. You can even increase more of the positivity because that's what you're trying to do out there.
Yeah.
And helping raise the community. And it's like, all right, cool. And you don't like, you just kind of throw yourself into it. You're not, you work with what you have. All I got is an ice bucket and 4 pillows. What am I gonna do with that? Something. Like it, and that's the part that impressed me the most when I looked at it. I was like, this dude made everything just in his hotel room. Like that's awesome. You just kind of you tell yourself, and I attribute this to kind of like some of the problem solving that you and I have done, working with teams and all that kind of stuff. But like now it's just you don't have to have the staff meeting and give me the update. Like, no, you have 14 days to just make something. So just make it. And then you just kind of follow your entire thought process, and lo and behold, you have an awesome product. And you still you retain your creativity, but you've produced something that not only is personal to yourself and passionate, but like the rest of the world can appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you for those words. I'll tell you, one of the reasons why I never really released any music is I was very cautious about who I am, the position I'm in, and my on a personal side, who I want to be, kind of thing. I always tell people there's 3 people always walking with you. There's the person you were, the person you are, and the person you want to be. And you have to keep all 3 of those heel in step, right? So for musicians, whatever genre you're in, I always ask, if you played your music, could you look at yourself in the mirror? Because there's some people, there's, even famous, everything's a facade, right? Nothing's real.
Right.
So if anything, I want to make something that's honest, work that's honest, genuine, and that I could look in the mirror and say, I'm not ashamed of this. I'm not ashamed to share this with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that holds back a lot of people. What's held me back is that thought process is, well, I'm in this position, so I can't be a musician. I can't be a book writer. I can't be these certain things. But I don't think that's the case. As long as it's honest and it's genuine and it's positive, it's real. I think people need to see more of that. We need, people in the military who say, you know what, I'm going to write a book. You know what, I'm going to try to be an actor. Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do. We don't do that enough. And sadly, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of people in the military where that completely defines them. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you have to ask yourself, if they took away everything from you, not just the military, any job you dedicate yourself to, if they took away everything, the benefits, the position, what would you have? What skill, what do you have to offer the world? When you leave this world, what will you leave this world?
That's awesome.
And that's kind of my thought process behind making music and things like that.
Yeah.
Another thing.
I think I think the term now is like, I'm thinking about Kanye, because he is like I think the term is like when you're in hyphenate. So Kanye is a musician / producer or dash hyphen. Yeah, that's what it is. So musician hyphen artist hyphen fashion designer hyphen all these kind of things that he has, right? Multiple roles that he enjoys doing. And I think what we're talking about here is I like meeting people who have multiple hyphens, just because it adds more flavor to the world, right? And so like when we go into work, as far as surrounded by the airmen, yeah, we're all airmen, obviously, and that's a thing. And then we're proud of the time. I don't care how long you're in. That I'm just glad you're serving next to me. And then, but eventually you're going to go hang it up. I'm talking about you just go home and take it off. Like there's something else that you need to be doing, even if that's, logging in to League of Legends and playing whatever it is you need to be doing. Like, yeah, you go, I do some other stuff too. Okay, cool. And then like, well, what else do you do? Well, like I'm also a part of this hiking community. I'm really big into hiking. And then the more and more people are comfortable with sharing some of that energy that they have, sharing their passions, you're going to find out there's other people out there. There's going to be other people like, oh, I don't know you're into that. And you can spot them. Like there can be, especially like for a musician like yourself, I think there's probably like certain ways that you approach stuff, and someone else is going to see it and notice that like, I know why you're thinking like that because you're a musician. Maybe you know how to arrange bars. You know how the production thing goes on. Same thing with me. Like I have a certain, when I'm doing coaching of stuff and I'm doing like even technology things, I go about these things differently. And then people will be like, hey, I think are you into cyber stuff? I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought. And so like, it's just that those passions that we have need to, getting people comfortable with sharing them is very, very difficult. I think it comes with age and experience. Obviously we are, maybe our give a shit filter is all the way gone, which is a good thing. Right. And arguably now what we can do, our responsibility is to set that good example of that it's okay. The things that we want to do, there's no shame. Like none of us are claiming we have the best thing going on since sliced bread. We're just trying, this is our unique take in sharing and creating something for the world. And so like, as much as I enjoy writing my book and that process is going to be, I'm looking forward to writing another book. You're going to continue to writing more material, and then just keep on constantly evolving as far as our elevating, I should say, as far as how we can get just even better and just enjoying more things we like to do.
Yeah. And, exactly with what you said. I said earlier that I had watched you and followed you on Facebook as you had shared with the world your process of final closing the book, getting orders, receiving the copies, sending them out was awesome to see. I needed to see that because it's like a pebble in a pond. You throw a pebble in a pond, it ripples, right?
Yeah.
So in a sense, seeing that, seeing somebody in a community that's doing that at your level is very inspiring to me. And it's like, hey, you can really put yourself out there. Somebody needs to see that. Somebody needs to hear that because that might spark somebody else to say, well, I can do it too. I think we need to see more of that. I really do. So thank you for being one of those people who shared that. I can't wait to get my copy.
It's in the mail. I know it's there. I know you got it. You got the special edition ones. So
yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward. I'm a huge supporter of what you're doing, and thank you for supporting me. This process has been really fun, and it's funny that before the world of coronavirus, I had all of the resources, but I didn't have the hunger, and now I find myself with the hunger and not all the resources. So if you want something, long story short, I said earlier, if you want something, if you're hungry enough, you'll find the resources. And it's one of those things. And I do think this stuff needs to be shared, whatever you're into, because that's what civilization is based on: sharing. It's the beginning of time.
Yep.
That's what's made the world what it is today. Sharing, good and bad. Sharing coronavirus.
Hopefully, don't be sharing that. But yes, I agree.
Don't share that. Don't share that. Just share the good. Share the good Rona.
Share the
not
good
the real
Rona.
one.
Yeah, the good Rona.
Yeah. No, but that's what it is, and it's funny because I'm putting the finishing touches to another one. That here in quarantine, that will be my last one. I can't make a whole career in quarantine, rap career in quarantine. But I did make another video, and it is about something that everybody can relate to. The song is called 2020, and I chronologically go through every month.
Nice.
In one song.
Hey,
so I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we really have endured a tough year. Think about the song. I mean, we almost went into World War III. Kobe Bryant.
Australia on fire.
Australia,
all the racial injustice, all those things.
Yeah, the stock market, Black Panther, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, it was a tough year. It was a tough year for us, but here we still are. you know, people are resilient creatures, and I have high hopes for 2021 that I do think things will get better. I really do.
Oh, I think so too.
But if they don't, I think good perspective is if you find yourself restricted and going out, if you find yourself quarantined, it's like all of us are in a cryogenic chamber right now, and we're frozen in time somewhat. Eventually, shit's gonna unfreeze. And what are you gonna look like when you step out?
I think so. My it's funny earlier, maybe like September. It's weather's changing here in Maryland a little bit. It's getting kind of colder. This is before Halloween. I remember this, and my daughter was like, she's like, "Can I listen to Christmas music?" I'm like, "No, babe. What are you talking about? We're at September. Like, you got to wait. You know the rule. We got to wait till Thanksgiving." She's like, "No, we need to have holidays come sooner than later." I think because it's 2020, all rules are off. We get to do whatever we want. I was like, I understand what you're saying. No, we're not listening to Christmas music in September, but I get what you're saying. What her underlying theme was, she's like, we want to get this year over with. I'm like, I get it. I totally understand that, or at least transition to happier things, right? That she's wanting to bring the spirits up, in the car or wherever it is, because that's what it does for us. Christmas time and holidays, and arguably, hopefully for lots of people, it does the same effect. But to your point, as far as like, yeah, so 2020 has been a rough one, and we still have I would say that with the holiday season coming up, hopefully it does, end as much as we can on a good note, and then going into 2021. However, I don't think that you and I are not the kind of person where we're just kind of like waiting to see what 2021 is going to happen. Yeah. Why I say that is because I hope that, our examples as far as whatever creative things and professional things that we do, don't wait to let 2021 just be like, well, it's going to be better. And you just kind of look around like, no, what are you doing though? What are you doing from your foxhole that brings your unique energy, brings your unique perspective on like trying to just make the world a better place? Like I don't do large amounts of things I do this podcast kind of stuff and do this book. That's all just like grunt work over here and down in this basement where I wrote the majority of the book in your studios. You're editing your video on your phone. Like there's not a lot. I would say you need a MacBook Pro and make sure you get some new stuff because I'm a comm guy. But like the idea, you can get the job done with the smallest kind of things and just get something out there. So what are you going to do about it? And so like to the Content Elevation audience, I'd say, yes, this is going to be, we're moving into the holiday season. Make sure you stay safe, but really take stock. Really take the time. Maybe like go do a small staycation somewhere, lock yourself in a hotel room, treat yourself, take a nice bath, whatever it is, kind of tune out some of the stuff and just sit with your thoughts a little bit. Really, really think about what 2020, how it impacted you, how it impacted your loved ones and your friends. And then kind of sketch out like, no, here's what I want to hit the ground running. I want to hit this thing in January, or even like build it up now. Like treat this as like the planning effort, right? You haven't hit, the order's not out yet and starting in 2021, but I'm planning. Here's what I want to do. And then hold yourself accountable to that. I think that's the biggest thing. We should not be, I'm not against New Year's resolutions, but I'm very suspect when I see people who are kind of surface level committed to stuff. The time and effort it takes to make things like you are creating for your music and your videos, for me, podcasting and writing and stuff like that, it takes, people ask me before, like, man, I want to talk to you about like how you stayed on the grind and wrote the book. And I'm like, I stayed on the grind because I give a shit about it. Like, I care. This is what I want to do. This is not no side hustle, like easy kind of, I just maybe not do it. Like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm committing myself to these things, committing myself to the craft. And I think when you get into that zone, only good things are going to happen. You're just going to feel better because regardless of, measuring this success rate of what that happens, you created something and nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah, 100% agreed. I think going back to what you said earlier, one of the things about 2020 that was so rough is a lot of us thought that maybe just how cool the number looked or whatever, 2020 was going to be clear vision, but it was blurry as hell, right? We didn't expect everything to happen the way it did. So my advice for anyone listening is for 2021, have an optimistic mindset, but expect that there's a chance things may not get better. We could have another, this vaccine, it might not be the next big thing. We don't know, right? And that's where, it hit us so hard. It's like a punch to the gut. If you're not expecting a punch to the gut, it's going to hurt really bad. But if you're expecting it, it's gonna soften the blow a little bit.
Yep.
So what I'm saying is a balance, right? Have that optimistic mindset. Don't just wait around like you said, and plan that restrictions could still be in place. There still could be things that hold us back, and find ways to maneuver through that now that we've endured this year, and there's a potential that could go into some of next year too. We don't know. No one knows. And with that, when you talk about, hey, prepare yourself, don't just wait around. Um, there's never been a better time in the world to learn a new skill or rekindle an old one, because we have this amazing thing called the internet and YouTube, that you could literally learn anything. I don't know anything about videography. I don't. Actually, shooting that video was the first time I hit the record button. That was the first time I hit the record button. Everything that I learned about slow-mo, about frames per second, was on YouTube in this room. And I knew that, and another thing, if you're trying to create something, whatever it is, I am a strong believer in timelines. If you don't put a timeline on yourself and a deadline, you'll just keep saying, yeah, I'll get around to it. I'll get around to it. And then it'll become irrelevant. So I knew if I was going to go with, I'll call it the juvie concept. If I wanted to talk about quarantine while in quarantine to get the street cred, juvie concept, that's what I'm going to call it.
We're gonna keep on going. We're doing more no limit things from now on. Like, I don't care. Whatever you're gonna do, I'm gonna ask to have the no limit version of it. Keep going.
if I knew that if I wanted to capture that realness, I had to complete it well before my quarantine was finished, because there's the editing process, the releasing, and everything like that. If I would have waited until the last minute, we may not have been able to have this conversation while I'm in. So put a timeline on yourself. Go online and learn new skills, or seek from people that have those skills. It's just never been a better time with the amount of info and technology at our fingertips. There's really no reason anybody can't follow their dreams or do what they want to do. It's so easy. And then once you get around to doing something that you've been saying you always wanted to do, and you actually start learning it, you come to realize that more times than none, it's not as hard as you initially thought it was.
No, it's not.
Like you get the elitist guys, and it's in every community, probably even like authors and stuff, like photographers. It's just elite. Well, you have to have, you be able to do, well, I don't know, the color grading.
So many pages per day you need to do. Like, no, you don't. But you don't. Just do it.
Yeah, it's like in a gym. Well, this is regimented. You have to just get in there and
put the work in. How about that? Yeah.
People overcomplicate shit, and we see this in the military, right? People overcomplicate shit. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Just get it done. Get it done. So
I think that's a unique characteristic that probably you and I share, and arguably when you see the creative people, it's always kind of weird. You'd be like, man, how did they do that? But like, they just did it. It's probably not that hard. They probably just used their phone and just started doing shit, and that's it. And so like, that's the, I do agree that like, just getting stuff done. I also believe that consistency, giving yourself like deadlines. So like, I have to record at least once a week. I do podcast stuff, and I told myself I'm recording for the straight. I'll hit my 50th episode after the Thanksgiving, but like, I think I'm on like, including Breaking Red, I'm at close to 100 or something like that. And that's since I moved to Maryland here. I've consistently recorded at least one episode every single week for no other reason. Nobody's paying me to do the shit. Like, I just do it. And then I learn along the way. I'm like, ooh, I need to set up my mic like this. I need to set up a camera here to do, like, it's just iterative learning, and that's okay. Like, right. And if you're giving yourselves like the high aspirations, if I don't hit Joe Rogan numbers, it doesn't matter. Like, okay, that's unrealistic. Just do stuff, just create. That's the kind of thing I think where people can build some of the, if you want to call it, not delaying it, but instant gratification. That's not what this is about. I get the gratification because I've done something. That's it. I get gratification because I get to link up with leaders like you. I get to talk with anybody around the world. That's the benefit that I've had for coronavirus. It's just managing time zones. That's it. Like, hey, when can we do it? Okay, nighttime for me, but daytime for you. Our schedule's good to go. We make it work. And then most people, the majority of people, they've never been on a podcast before, but they're normalized to it now because they've been doing Zoom and Teams for such a long time. Like, oh, it's the same thing. I'm just hitting record, not a big deal. And so don't overthink shit. I think people can be, if they kind of get over that fear of just try and do stuff, and then maybe even just only share it for yourself, share it with yourself, share it with your small circle, get some feedback. What do you think? Like, I think I can do like this and that. You're going to, if you're passionate about it, you're going to get better at it, because that's just naturally, because you give a shit, you're going to want to get better at it.
Somebody who's really amazing, that is a good lesson to be learned, is Leonardo Da Vinci. They later found schematics of things that he never released. I mean, just mind-blowing schematics and blueprints and things that no one even really knows. But what he did put out, everyone knows. The Mona Lisa is a masterpiece, right?
Yep.
And as I tell people, I never want to be like Leonardo da Vinci. I never want to have a trail of just unfinished shoulda, coulda, wouldas. And even if I share it with one or 100, I never want to be the person that's just got, half-assed projects. You can relate that to a personal aspect, a professional aspect. If you're going to do it, see through it. One of the biggest ways to lose credibility with people, with airmen, is to put out an intent for something, to put something out, and then you just don't follow through with it. Hey, I got a song that's coming out called 2020, and it never comes out.
Right. Yep.
Hey, we got this project, guys. I really think that this makes sense. It's going to cut, this, that, and the third, and you just never hear me talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, what happened?
Yep.
So follow through with what you say you're going to do, and don't leave a trail of just shoulda, coulda, woulda.
So there's a part of my leadership philosophy. It's alphabet aerobics, and the C part of it is a character. And part of that is it's getting down to the thing of, you can't just talk about it, you got to be about it. I make fun of sometimes of airmen if I walk around in their spaces and I see like their inspiration wall, and I see like the words like you get at Target, it says like be some, or all the words, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, but are you doing that though? Like, just buying that sign doesn't do shit. Like, you have to actually do something about it. And so what I also tell my airmen, especially the younger ones, because I want them to give them some freedom of space to make mistakes and just kind of learn things, because I would expect them as junior airmen or junior officers. I tell them, like, so it's okay to make mistakes, but it's not okay to half-ass something. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, I expect you to make mistakes. I expect you to stumble a little bit. Maybe you're going a little bit faster than you should on a project or whatever it is. But and those are probably going to be recoverable mistakes. What I don't want you to do is half-ass something where you just kind of like send it and be like, well, I mean, I coordinated with a guy and then I just kind of did some stuff. Like, well, that's it. Like, you emailed the guy, you didn't call him, you didn't try and go to his office. Like, you just, what do you mean? And so those are the differences that I try and inspire my airmen. I hold myself accountable to that too. Like, I'm not going to half-ass anything. If I'm going to release a podcast, I'm going to do it to the greatest quality that I can. If I'm going to write a book, that's why it took me more than 500 days to write that thing, because I was concerned about, I want to make sure I'm putting out a quality thing into the world, because my name is on it. Your name is on your music. We take pride in those kind of things, because that's what's going to be when you and I are no longer here. What can we leave to make this world a little bit better? Even if it's just for a small audience, it doesn't matter. The point is, that's something that represents our energy and our life, and we're proud of what we do out there. So don't half-ass stuff. Just, if you're going to be about it, be about it.
How long did it take you to write the book?
It took me from my first thought to holding the book in my hand took 557 days.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a big gap in there where I almost stopped writing because I was having a bad time at work and really frustrated about stuff. And so like my mindset wasn't in the right mindset to write anything. And I told my editor too. She's like, everything good? I was like, no, I'm just kind of off. Like, it just wasn't inspired to do stuff. And then finally, some of that fog cleared. Then I'm like, I told myself I'm going to write this damn book. Let's get at it. And I'm like, all right, cool. And so I called her. I'm like, I'm going to give you a manuscript by this date. She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes. Because if I don't do that, I'm not going to do it. So I forced myself. I'm spending early mornings, late nights, doing the whole thing. Like, no. I have a suspense. I got to do it. And so like those kind of things just kept me on task. And that's how I eventually got to the point where like
could I have sat there and kept on nitty gritty? Maybe I'll write this. Or they're like, no. You're overthinking it now. Like, it's fine. Like, there's stuff in there. It's a polished product. I'm proud of it. And so, like, because I didn't want to have the fear of like, I could just make it better. Like, no, it's really good. Just like I'm sure for your stuff, like, this is good. Could you tweak some EQs and make some basses and hi-hats? Sure, you could. Or just send it because this is going to hit, and then you can move on to the next one. I'm looking forward to the creative process. For me was a grind, but it was worth it. It was worth it not only for now it's, impacting my professional career. It just makes me a better leader, I think, anyway, and makes me kind of be a good officer to try and set an example for other people. I'm like, there's different kind of officers out there. And I'd say the more the merrier, of depending on where the flavor come from, but this is what I tell everybody is like, this is my unique story. I'm authentically, if there was 2 Gabrocks in the Air Force, it'd fucking blow up. You can't have 2 of me. And so we're not allowed to have that many. But like the idea of inspiring people to be the genuine and authentic leader they want to be, that's what I want to get out there.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you felt the same way with your book, but after I made the video and put it out, I see a lot of imperfections. And I hit up Sean Roberson, my Pogie bro,
Yeah.
every day, and I was like, I think I'm gonna adjust it. I ended up not, because he was like, you'd be a fool to touch it, man. Don't touch it.
Don't touch it. Yep.
It's
hard.
Yeah, I don't know if you felt the same way.
I did. I had the physical copies. I had all of them in my house, and I'm like, fuck it. It was like, it's too late. Like, what am I going to do? And so, because what was more important, me to get it like that, change the happy to glad, or get this product out? Like, I had people pre-ordering. I had all the vibe and the momentum behind there. I'm like, nah, man, it's time to send it. Let's go. And then that energy, that nervous energy about wishing I could have done a little bit better on there. No, I moved that energy towards like, okay, what's next? Let's get on the platforms. Let's start doing distribution channels. Let's communicating with people and get reviews and stuff. And so I just moved on. And it's a thing of lesson learned. Got it. Make sure you don't repeat that same mistake, and then keep on moving forward. It's not that's the only way that you don't get like paralysis by analysis. So
yes, paralysis by analysis. I think that's one of the biggest Achilles heels for a creator, second guessing themselves and redoing things. And I still struggle with that. I wish I can somehow conquer that, because it holds me back a lot. I need to record that one more time. I need to retake this. So by the time I got done shooting the Rona video, it was 383 gigabytes of 4K, because of how many retakes I did.
Okay.
The first day. And here's first day I was very uncomfortable, because I just felt weird. I'm sitting here lip syncing this song, like,
yeah.
And then the second day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it one more. So sometimes redoing things can be a good thing.
Sure.
And the next day, day 2, I said, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna do the angles. I'm just gonna do it 2 times an angle. I'm gonna record it 2 times an angle. The majority of that video was day 2. Day 1, I was just not in the.
Yeah. I remember the same thing happened when I started this podcast. Like the first couple episodes, I was heavy in the editing, and I'm like, I want to just kind of tweak that, or I'd repeat something I'm saying, because I'm like, that didn't hit right. I want to make sure I say it like this. And I was just learning and figuring out, and it wasn't that hard, but it was time consuming. That was the key thing. And then now it becomes a thing of not one take, Jake. That's it. Like, there's apart from some like technical glitch that kind of makes it really obviously kind of bad, I'll kind of delete those things, and then I just move on. Like, the idea is just to produce content. And so like the idea of just iteratively growing, iteratively learning, that's it. And that, I think that keeps you fresh, that keeps you motivated to kind of want to continue to create. And then for me anyway, I'm sure for you, it just, the second and third order effects that happened to your professional life just work. Like, you're happier. You're in a better positive state, because like, look, I got that awesome personal work done. Let's get at it. Somebody come at me with some professional shit, because I bet you I'm going to kill that stuff too. And like, I carry myself. I'm like, dude, I just sold some books. Like, I'm at work. I'm like, I sold some books. I'm arranging some podcast interviews. What do you want? We need this thing for the general. Bet money. Give me 30 minutes and I'll get it done. Like, really? Yes. act like you don't know me. And so and so that kind of confidence, I think, just comes and can have positive effects on both sides of the aisle. And so Eddie, thank you again for joining me on this right before towards the ending of your quarantine over at Scott Air Force Base. For the audience listeners, at the end of this episode, I am going to put Eddie's track on here. So I want you to listen to it. Obviously, there's visuals that we'll find there. I'll put the links in the description for the episode. But this is good stuff, and I'm looking forward to hearing the cut 2020. If it's, I don't know how. I'm not kidding. Talk to somebody and do a No Limit cover and or remix somehow, like just. Yeah, something. Something with like a bounce or something like that. I need that in my life. I'm gonna obviously like the OG one, but mainly just because we're having this conversation, I want the Constant Elevation remix to sound like some No Limit shit. So I believe that's a challenge to you. I know you can do it.
Hey, I just want to say real quick, hey, thank you again for having me. It's always really great to get to talk with you.
Anytime.
On the book, such an inspiration, and an inspiration to so many people. The podcast, just what you're doing at the level you're at, it's really a breath of fresh air to see. So I'm glad to be a part of it. And again, just thank you for having me here.
Yeah, brother. Anytime, man. So again, for Constant Elevation audience, hope you guys have a safe Thanksgiving. Again, you get 2 for 1 this week, and then we'll catch up with you in December. Peace.